Hey everybody, this is Various Fields. I'm Hazen Fields II.
I'm Hayes Fields III.
I'm Lex.
And we are excited to have you guys come back. I know we look like we're staying in the same clothes, and that's because we are. And we wanted to continue a conversation that we began on your last episode of Various Fields. Mm-hmm. And we started talking about the importance or what people felt about an artist's responsibility to the community.
Right.
And it brought up a topic that I kind of wanted to delve into. We talked about the cancel culture.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, but I think the reason we started talking about cancel culture is because people started utilizing the term political correctness. Mm-hmm. And the idea of political correctness, in my opinion, has really just morphed because it seems to me people desire to be rude. And so therefore we mask it with the term, well, we're being politically correct if we're not allowed to say those things that we wish to say. And those things that we often want to say can be offensive to somebody else.
So I want to clarify, because I'm actually, so you're saying when people are saying they're being politically correct, you're saying those people are being rude, or when people say we're not going to be politically correct, they're saying, which one?
Well, people use it interchangeably, but here's what it lands on. Being politically correct has been said to be doing those things which are not offensive.
Gotcha.
So you're saying it carefully.
Right.
And you're saying it so you don't stir the pot.
Gotcha.
That's what being politically
So you're saying
correct.
people often preface their statements with, oh, let me be PC here beforehand, which can also sound like, let me be rude about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be rude about it, so I'm going to say it this way, but I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I'm not going to be rude about it because I have something really that I really want to say.
Right. Yeah. You know, we've had many conversations, where people open up and says, listen, I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
Right.
Right after that, they say something that you can absolutely take the wrong way.
I don't want to be rude, but
right, exactly.
If you could start with, let me be PC first, then just stop your statement there.
Right. Yeah. That's being. See, so I think that there are nuance. The mirror image, I guess, the opposite images of being politically correct and being the cancel culture. Kind of, it's people that are desiring a mindset to say what they feel. They'll mask it like saying, they're going to tell it like it is. But to me, that's opening the door of well, you're not really telling it like it is as much as giving yourself permission to be unkind, to be rude.
I'm with you.
Kind of thing.
I think because also the term politically correctness is kind of weird because it's the idea of politics, and politics is already controversial. And then there's two ways I think about it, which is just the phrase itself. First off, as much as people don't like to think about it this way, I think everything is political. Because everything can be tied to it being political.
Right.
Now, regardless if you view it that way, if I say something, I'm not going to say I'm saying it in a political way, but whatever I'm saying has that level of being associated in that kind of way, right? But also, I also don't think your level of responsibility to how you think about people or what you think about yourself or your inner integrity or character should be tied to politics in general. I don't think that should be. You should just be who you are as a person. I don't think you should let politics be your moral code. I don't think people should let laws be their moral code. I'd be kind of scared if someone was like, hey, I don't want to murder this person because the law told me not to. I'm like, you should just not want to murder them. You know what I mean? And it's that same kind of thing. But you reminded me of something that I was thinking about the other day, which was, I do think context and then also kind of audience matters, or who you're with matters.
Right.
If let's say I think it should not be in my purview to talk about someone else's body, no matter what. But if I'm talking about with a long-term partner and we're having a discussion about safety or something, I think that comes up in context. You know what I mean? I think if we're talking about, if I have a good relationship with someone, I'm talking about their mental health, but they trust me to talk about their mental health, then we can talk about that way, but I can't talk to someone and just call them crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think audience and context matters for certain things. And also, even though comedians get this a lot, comedians have a little more room because the idea is that the audience is going into a space where the idea of certain norms are allowed to be played with, if that makes sense. So you're going to a place where comedy and humor can be used, but that comedian still has the responsibility to be like, what I'm saying is going to be out there in the ether, and context and setup matters. Does that make? I know it's a lot.
I understand. No, I understand what you're saying.
So I think certain things can be said, but they have to be.
Yeah,
it can't be always out of pocket.
I feel as if we're going to reach some type of like meta and ironic point in this conversation, because here we are out in the internet just saying as we need to say, right? Not for the sake of not for the sake of being politically correct or otherwise, but saying our piece.
Actually,
you know,
can I do something real quick? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
No, his face that scared him. I'm saying, if this is, I'm putting this out either for the people who are there, our audience now. First off, please like, share, and subscribe. This is something I feel strongly about. If God graces us and this podcast does really well, and we do really well, and we have a large platform, and we say something that's what you believe is not to our character, that we say something that we believe that's not true, that's bad, that hurts us in the future, please hold us accountable. I want to be able to do that. As an audience member, hold us accountable. I feel like a lot of times people have platforms and they're like, they shy away from us. Your audience members, you're the people who are going to get us to where we are.
Absolutely.
Hold us accountable to what you believe and what we hope is our better nature.
Right.
Yeah. No, but that was essentially what I was talking about. It's like, because everyone, I was actually going to comment on like everyone on Facebook just saying whatever they want to say about any type of situation, whether it be their recent breakup or whatever the case may be, right? I feel as if there's certain aspects to your own personal life that should be private, right? So if you're talking about one other person that was in your life, you're going to try to defamate their name or character, right, for whatever which reason, because they did you wrong, right? I mean, that gets back and forth, and that just becomes hard and dirty, right? But my thing is, when it comes down to like, I don't know, like, I guess a general group that you have an issue with, right? You should probably keep those private. Like, I mean, like...
Oh, it depends on the group. Learn to... I got you.
Yeah. You know, like... Yeah, or just change your own personal views, I guess. But like,
I guess that's fair. I don't like people who don't like waffles, so that's something I have to
everyone's going to have their own say about whatever they want. Like, and no one's like, not everyone's going to be the same person. I completely understand that, but like, I feel as if like, if you have something that might be offensive, you can either talk to a small peer group about it, right, and have that be your outlash. But like, if you want to have that whole entire, if you want a bigger audience just to say your piece, I mean, well, that's just honestly, just do you. Honestly, I'm not even going to say it. But
well, I think for me, it's not just limited to those who are in media, and we are now
in media.
And the thing is, I think all of us as citizens of this world, I personally think that we have a responsibility to be concerned about our fellow citizens.
Absolutely.
And how we speak to them, how we address them, how we have dialogue with them. If we're disrespectful, if we don't care, let's not mask it and say that we're being forthright. Let's not mask it and saying that you're being a person that is... they're telling it like it is. Just don't be rude. Don't be unkind. Don't be nasty. Because there's a point where, as human beings, we should be able to gather together, speak together. Even if I disagree with you, I don't have to be insulting to you.
Yeah.
And,
You remind me of something. Another thing that was like I guess a phrasing thing I've been trying to work on, where I've been trying to take the words good and bad liberally, using those words liberally in my vocabulary. I've been trying to take them out of my vocabulary because the good and bad in general can be viewed very subjectively.
Indeed.
Right? Okay. And I've been trying to reframe it, and this is for myself mainly.
Right.
But like, is it healthy and does it work is kind of the best thing. So by that, I mean, something can be, you can argue something is good or bad for someone, that this is good or bad or thing. But the real question is it healthy? And by that, is it providing health to myself, someone else's? Is it something, even if I'm talking about just vocabulary, just something I'm saying, is the way they're going to see it going to hurt them some way, mentally, like their mental health or emotionally or whatever the case is? And quote unquote, does it work as in, is it effective? Even with the same idea of like people being like, I'm just telling you this, I'm just being truthful. Sure, but if you're being truthful and how it's coming out is hurting someone, are they receiving that information well? Because if you're being truthful, but they're not even receiving it well and they can't do it, then I don't think the message is coming across. Then what are you actually doing? You know? So the idea of health, I will say this is a personal thing I'm working on, to be more specific and nuanced in conversations. But
can those parameters be utilized subjectively as well, though?
Right? I think health is a harder one. That's why I do it. Like health is a harder one to be. Is it subjective? You can tell if something's going to hurt or
Right.
It really just depends on the mind frame. I mean, like you would think, generally speaking, like, hey, should I crash into a car? That's probably not the most healthy decision.
I would say it's unhealthy. Yeah.
Right, I would imagine so. Right,
Yeah,
but for
pretty unhealthy.
I would personally agree. Right, but depending
Real
on
quick, everybody, just want to like, share, and subscribe, and
Yes.
comment if you think crashing your car into a wall is healthy or unhealthy.
Oh,
right.
my-
All
Good
I'm
poll.
saying is, as an example, right, there are some things that people might be able to justify in their own mind as being healthy or right for them
But justification is different, and that's what I'm
to
trying-
every individual.
No.
correct?
Yeah, justification to every individual is different. But I'm saying to phrase it real quick, and we'll get back to it real quick.
Yeah.
Is for my own sake, I'm trying to take good and bad out of the context. So I'm also more specific. So I'm not judging myself mainly. I did something bad. I did something good. That doesn't really help. Like, what am I actually doing? I did something that was healthy for me. Like, if I didn't express myself the way I wanted to today. Let's say I got in an argument with someone, right? And then I said, I don't want to be rude. I don't do this. And that's usually in a good nature to not ruffle feathers. To not ruffle someone's feathers is a good thing. But if I'm always putting myself down, is that healthy for me emotionally? You know, so it's just a different way of thinking about it.
Right.
And then the question is it effective or not? I think effective is talking about like what does the effect it has. Whether the effect is positive or negative is different. But like, does it have going back to comedians, because I feel like this is a good thing. You make a joke, and the joke was meant to be clever, and it was meant to be a nuanced conversation, or meant to hit a nuanced topic, but you talked about race, you talked about sexism, right? And no one laughed, and it didn't land, and people ridiculed you, and he called you racist, called you misogynistic. But your point, your intention was I wanted to have a nuance. This joke was supposed to hit that mark,
Right.
and it didn't work. That is on you as a comedian. If they didn't get it, that's not on them. And if it was perceived differently, that's unfortunate. But it didn't work. It wasn't an effective joke. You know what I mean?
It's a very difficult thing because now we're going down a line. When we talked about objective and subjective, we're asking a question that could be framed this way. Are there things in this world that are objectively true? Are there things in this world that are objectively good? You know,
Right.
and so or the reverse subjective, you know, good or true subjectively. You know, and we have to kind of like if we can say objectively, if I jump up in the air, I will come back down.
Right.
Right.
We can all pretty much agree. But there are people in the world, I believe, that would find an argument.
Sure.
You know, and like
Right.
you said,
And
that
then-
would be a justification.
Right. And then subjectively, they say, well, depending on the circumstance, because if I jump up in the air and come back down, that might be true, but I'm on a trampoline, so I'll go back
Yeah.
up again.
Right, but that's-
But nevertheless, you're still coming back
But
down.
this is actually kind of turning to a different conversation. But I'll get back to the reason why I use it, and let's turn to the context. I'm using that for myself mainly in a vocabulary sense and mainly in a assessment sense. So I think the best way to say it is, it's not that I'm saying good or bad words. I'm not saying it's this. I'm saying it helps me evaluate a decision with more nuance rather than what sometimes people will do to some other people or to themselves. This is good, this is bad. Because it's so over, it's very broad, those statements. So now I'm reflecting on myself. Is it a healthy thing that like I want to lay in bed to get more rest comfortably. I could do that. I've had a long night, right? But am I making a healthy decision? And the healthy decision is, do I actually need more rest at this time, and that's actually going to let my body recover? Or have I been laying around all day and actually be more healthy for me to get up and exercise?
Again, subjective. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Not necessarily.
I mean,
Now I'm saying on the terms of health, I can make the decision of it being
I know you can, but I'm
Yeah.
saying again, subjectively, right? Because there are some times when you're laying in bed and then others are laying in bed because they either are tired or because they are in fact finding a way. This is the best way for them to deal with depression.
yeah. That, I'm
You know
thinking
what I mean?
The
Like-
context of this is I'm using it for me, not judging other people.
Oh, that's
for
what I'm
it.
saying. Because of it's a subjective parameter that you're using only for yourself, it is still a very broad thing to even pose to the World Wide Web.
I guess.
You know what I mean? Because if we talk about what can be objectively bad and objectively good, all right, there's got to be at least 5 things that we can all agree on as a society, as a nation, as a world. You know, but then if you
I got it.
Right, but then if you talk about like let's talk about vices. Let's talk about sexual preferences. Let's talk about the things that we make to help cope with our regular life. All right. There are things that people will say this is subjectively bad, subjectively good. Right. And then there are some wine moms that say, oh, absolutely. No, I just take one glass. Right. But or other people will say, oh, I shouldn't drink this at all. You know what I mean? So it really just depends on your point of view and how much you're consuming. So I understand the health aspect. Right. But at the same time, right, there are still a lot of people that say you shouldn't consume alcohol at all because it's just still damaging your body.
Well, that's whatever. We'll go into it some. Well, I guess the main thing is going back to the wine mom reference. Absolutely, it's someone's individual. I'm not judging other people. It's your individual decision. However, if that wine mom is fine, like, hey, so I only have one glass, but other friends know she's an alcoholic, that's unhealthy. And then, but
then that's them judging them.
No, it's not judging. I'm saying you can be considered
judging her. Sorry.
No, that's not judging. I'm saying you can be considered on an actual scale, like it's an addiction. Addiction is a health thing, is what I'm trying to say.
In other words, can someone be objectively, truthfully, an alcoholic?
Yeah.
There are tests when you are going down the road and a police officer pulls you over. They have monitors that says you've consumed X amount of alcohol in your body.
Right.
So, in other words, is there a level of alcohol in your body which objectively says you are now going into the line of alcoholism? So is that an objective truth?
I'll give one more example. And how about this?
Medically speaking, it's not just about consumption. It's about addiction and how much your body's able to hold on to it. Because, like, let's say, like, you go without a week without alcohol, and then your body starts shaking because your body's now chemically dependent.
Right.
You are objectively addicted.
Yes.
You know,
which would make you an alcoholic.
Right, which would make you an alcoholic.
So if that same person as a wine mom says, well, you know, one glass is going to hurt me, yes, it would. But real quick, I'll give it another example because we're talking about health. I'll also talk about, is it effective or not? And effective is a little more subjective, right? But something that I think everyone does, and we shouldn't, and the thing, but everyone will have various levels of credence to, they're on the highway, they're late, they're trying to get to work, and they're speeding, right? Now, first off, you're speeding. You're speeding.
I have the need for speed.
And you trying to get to work faster, right? You're trying to get to work faster. And let's say you're only 10, whatever, something amount of the thing. You can get there, man, I got to work faster. I did it. The thing that you did was effective. Now, what happened was it was effective for you in that decision to get to work faster. But you did teeter on being a little unhealthy. If you drove a little bit faster, you could have made more mistakes. You could have hit more people. You could have hurt more people. You also could have gotten caught by the police. Someone could have pulled you over. And then in that moment, it would have been ineffective. Right. So then you have to weigh those things out. And I'm saying the difference being is if I'm driving and speeding, I'm saying, this is bad for me, or just say, to me speeding.
So you're just saying it's only a bad idea if you get caught.
Well, let's bring it back because we're kind of,
we went way off.
In fact, Nels, do you have anything to say on this subject at all? Because we haven't heard you talk in a little bit. You know,
he's chilling.
Well, right. Well, he's chilling right now. So, but we're kind of. I want to pull it back,
please,
to kind of talk about what we began with. I came up with. I was thinking about the premise of cancel culture compared to politically correct.
Yeah.
Now, then we started to get into that which is objectively good and or true, and subjectively good and or true. So I believe as a society, you know, this is what we wrestle with. This is why we have so much
division.
Diversity. Diversity. That's interesting. We have so much division now. We have we've created a volatile type of society because I believe our words matter. So if you are, to me, I think it's better to err on the side of caution. Let me not be a person that's toxic, by my words. Let me not be a person that's mean-spirited, But that's hard for some people to do because they believe that what they're saying is forthright and good.
Right. I will say, I'm going to go quickly right back to what I was saying, because I was trying to make the connection for why I use it to the main conversation. And the main thing was, if you're presenting, you're saying, if you're making a public speech to someone or to a college or something, and you say something that in effect was offensive, right? Because we're talking about offensive, we're talking about cancel culture.
Right.
There's a point in time where that really doesn't have any effect or change.
Right.
It doesn't have any effect or change, and people are like, that was a bad person. They can even cancel you, but it really didn't do anything. However, the dogs and cat statements is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
The dogs that was a lie. The Donald Trump recently put was talking about in their debate. They're eating the dogs and the cats, and now there's a whole bunch of stuff about where he got that from and all that type of stuff. But the main thing is it came from a sort of affecting people in the Haitian community. Right, and now people are being hurt, and schools are being bombed about that.
Right,
so that was, to me, it wasn't effective, and also it's unhealthy by the nature of people are being hurt actively because of that statement. And the difference being is he could be like, "Hey, I'm saying this from his own perspective, which is subjective. I'm saying this because I'm trying to protect people. I'm trying to do this, right?" And in his mind, that was a good thing to say. However, it wasn't effective, and it was unhealthy. So objectively, it's bad. You see what I mean? Like that is the framework of what I'm how I view it. I'm not necessarily saying that is a system that everyone should use and works. I was trying to give an example of. Does that make sense? Though?
Yeah, you look like you're.
Honestly, just because of, I guess, this particular context, right? I'm going to frame all of this under, I guess, Aladdin justice. All right.
He's making a phrase.
He's making a reference. Again, he said he's only in trouble if he gets caught. All right. And that's when he said in the 1991 film. Right. And then as soon as he got caught, he's like, I'm in trouble. Simple as that. So people will not take accountability for a lot of their actions unless either their peers either agree with them or disagree with them. All right. If a great majority of their voices that they get are echoing back the same sentiment, they will feel as if they're very much in the right. In which case, Donald Trump was not. And because of that, he was objectively wrong because of his statement.
Yeah, but also makes an unhealthy system.
Right. May I use a metaphor?
By all means.
Okay. We talk about music a lot. And the term tone deaf comes up. And I believe that the American song has changed its key over time. So, in other words, not the anthem itself. In other words, how we perceive things, the cultural conditioning, that what was once standard, what was once status quo, has been moving in another direction slowly.
Gotcha.
So, another demand from 1963, things that was considered the norm in 1963 might have moved slowly to the left or right or however, and move from the position it actually was. So because the song has changed, in other words, how we view men and women, how we view society as a whole, the song has been changing key.
I feel you.
I am now considered tone deaf because the key has been changed. And I suggest to you certain people from a different age are not tone deaf, but they have perfect pitch because they are still singing the same key that the song was originally written in when they were born. In other words, if there are things that, let's take in the 1950s, if you watch old 1950s television shows, a secretary was a woman, period. That was it. If you wanted to show a woman as in a job, in fact, some people would joke, a secretary is a girl's job, because at that time, there was these very strong opinions as to what men and women did.
Right.
But now we've become more wiser. We've become more progressive. But the tone and tenor has changed in reference to the American song, if you will.
I like it.
And we move a little bit, but now this person is going, la, 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 la. They're trying to sing the old key, because that's what it was. It was originally it was in the key of C.
Guys,
but now,
American politics is improv jazz. And you better keep up. You better keep rhythm.
With that reference, because you started off with like the older generations has perfect pitch. All right. Are you saying that the song needs to go back to that?
No. I'm saying that because they are forced to go with the changing of the song key, the American song key, they now remember it's instilled in them the original key that they had. And maybe they're unwilling and unable to change their pitch with it. They're unable to change their voice, what they say and how they say. I don't care what they say. I'm still gonna say.
Yeah.
You know, because back in this certain time, that was the key. You know, now I am not saying it should be done.
Right.
I think you should be flexible enough, nimble enough, wise enough to understand and see where things are progressing. The word being progress.
Yeah.
Going forward positively. You know, and try to sing in a key that's positive. But see, that's where the argument is. Some people will say, well, I don't like the key that it's going into.
If you don't mind me saying, I think it is a hard thing to push only because you're calling it a song, perfect pitch, tone deaf, right? If we're going to use this analogy and beat it dead, right? The American song is not one singular song.
Indeed.
Right? It is in fact a medley, right? In which case the song is constantly changing.
I did say improv jazz.
All right. So even with even with that, right, you can't just say, oh, I liked this refrain better than the other, right? Because now the tune, the melody, the whole
lyrics,
everything, the whole symphony is a part of this. They're fully aware, and the song is still being written, right? So for you to even say that not saying that I'm just saying like in terms of that statement, right? It should not be something that's seen as, oh, it was done, it was said, it was sung because it was done perfectly then. Right? It's still going.
I'll jump in and then say, and I think we have to wrap up a little bit soon.
Yes.
But another thing I was thinking about previously to this is that I think a lot of times, especially in what we're saying almost, right? We're saying, I would argue, I can't actually, a majority of people would want world peace. I think a majority of people would want their nations to be peaceful. I want a majority of people to think these things and have these positive thoughts and want, hold hands, kumbaya. I wouldn't say a majority of people want that in some form, right? But then I think even the concept of what we consider peace isn't perfect. And that's because I think the natural state of things are for things to keep changing, keep progressing, to try to get a utopian thing of something where peace, it requires and implies a certain level of
rigidity.
Like there's by the nature of having that much peace, something has to stay the same, and to keep something to stay the same that consistently for that long time, in honestly, isn't perfect. That's because it's not how things work, right? Nothing can stay the same forever, and by the nature of that, you have to contain it, and by the nature of that, you have to hold it, and by the nature of that, it's not necessarily peaceful.
Utopia, by definition, means nowhere. So for us to always aim and strive for a utopia means that we will be progressing to a state of standstill, nothing, nowhere.
And that's unsustainable.
We would be moving nowhere.
And that's unsustainable. So with that being said, and kind of tying all back, I think, like people say, practice makes perfect. And I would also argue progress makes practice, if that makes sense. So I think it's the idea of like, that one person who had perfect pitch then also needs to practice and change. And practice is the key word. Not just change because they feel forced, not just change, but practice and learn to progress so they can understand why the things are moving this way,
Right. Well, we're about to close up, and I'm just going to say, those of us who were born in the time of 63, you were given some sheet music as to how the American song was sung for you. I need you to pay attention and listen, because the sheet music has changed. And if you want to sing in harmony, you need to pay attention to what's going on. And you can keep the melody in your back pocket that you remember, but try to be civil in explaining why you're singing the way you were. And I think that's what we're saying. We need to come to the American table and be civil and have a conversation so all voices can be heard and at least understand from whence we come. Last words for you.
Again, with this analogy, change your instrument, change your seating. Not everyone has to play second fiddle, right? But at the same time, right, you're not going to be the conductor of this medley either. I think it's dead at this moment.
My last words would be, and if you're going to be a part of this medley and this band and things, please play the triangle, because it's hard to mess that up. It's hard to mess up the triangle. Stand aside and just go ding every once in a while, and you're good and you're fine.
I literally just told them to change their instrument.
No, I'm just singing. Like if you have a hard time, be the triangle guy.
Listen,
Or a recorder.
I love you guys. This has been Various Fields. Please like, share, and subscribe. And come back. If this kind of conversation is something that you're interested in, please comment below and let us know your feelings. And guys, I love you so much.
Love you too. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Or the kazoo.
Hey, 71 subscribers or something like that.